episode, we'll be resetting our relationship with food and taking control of our health, strength, mindset, and mood with the help of the best-selling author of a book entitled Brownies for Breakfast. Welcome to the show, Lee. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Toby. And I appreciate you mangling the name of the book because it gives me an excuse to repeat it, right? I can say, and the book is called Brownies for Breakfast, a cookbook for diabetics and the people who love them, which kind of includes the whole world these days.
Yes. Yes, that's true. And while preparing for this conversation, I'm so sorry for messing it up a little bit at the beginning. Brownies for
Oh, thank
breakfast in
you.
the title
That
book.
was a great opening. That was a super opening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I'm super excited to be speaking with you, not just because you wrote this wonderful book, but also because you are a grandma, and I'm looking forward to learning so much from your, vast experience, word of wisdom. You've gone through a lot in life, and through your cookbook and other engagements, you are impacting other people's life basically with your experience, with your grandma wisdom also. And I want us to pack all of that in this conversation today also, so that we also could be better off at the end of this conversation. Yeah.
That's a lot to jam in one conversation. You might have,
Ye-
it's a ton,
yeah. Yes. We could
but
make it a series, maybe.
it's worth bringing it up and getting started. And the first thing I want to say is from this end of life, you keep wanting things to be simpler. You don't
Mm,
want them to be so complicated. And that includes today you're getting all this advice about working out and how many repetitions and how heavy your weight is and how many times a week and your food, you weigh, you measure how many grams of this and your carbs and your protein. And I am here to tell you that you don't need to do all that. I want you to be conscious, very conscious of your body and your health and what you're eating. But I think you can do it joyfully, more
mm,
like singing and dancing than measuring and worrying. Um, your food should be a pleasure, and
yes.
if you eat better food, better quality food, hopefully it will be a pleasure. But the granny part of it is somebody has to cook. And we used to always have a granny in the kitchen, right? She'd be there with her
Mm,
apron on and she'd be there all day. And and my kids, who are all now in their 40s, tease me because whatever I would talk about, I managed to get a recipe in there somehow. It's like,
oh,
no matter if you're talking about world news or sports or anything, it's like, well, then you take the beans and you do this and you do that. So I think part of being a granny is always that mixing up of food with wisdom,
mm,
if you want, with information. It always comes back to the food. What are you eating?
yeah.
And is it good?
Yeah.
And is it enough? And so on and so forth. So, and in my case, the reason for my emphasis on diabetes is because I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was in my 40s. And so, relatively early in my life, type 2 diabetes. So, I knew then that I wanted to take care of myself and stay healthy and stay on my feet. And it ended up kind of making a study of it, Toby, because the medical profession wasn't really very helpful. They'd say, well, you don't eat too many carbs and keep your weight down. And that was about
Mhm.
it. So, all these decades since then, I've been working to try and figure out how to be healthy, stay healthy, but still eat well and have fun
Mm,
and have brownies. And
yeah.
so my recipes were developed for people who want to eat treats and yummy foods. I mean, they're not all sweets. It's all kinds of recipes. But we are suffering from this kind of what do I call it? It's we have been washed over by sugar for
Mm,
generations.
that's
Now
true.
we've got two or three generations of people who've been eating sugar, refined sugar in
Mm,
everything. And it's worse in the United States, but we've exported it all over the world. Just like the United States is guilty of exporting our crummy TV shows, right?
mm,
Something I heard the statistic that 80% of the media that's consumed around the world is from
mm,
the United States and basically from
yeah.
California. So
Mm,
My fault, guilty. Um, but all of us now are consuming food that isn't real food. It's manufactured food. And it's doing really well for the corporations who are manufacturing it, but it's
Yeah.
not doing well for the people who are eating it. So I'm here with you today on behalf of Grannies to say I
Yes.
want you to eat real food, whole
Mm.
food, plant-based, not too much. And you don't even have to worry about the not too much part. If you're eating whole food, plant-based food, real food, you get full
Yeah.
and then you can't eat anymore. It's enough,
That's
you
true.
know, and it
Yeah.
feels different in your body than if you're eating the food that was designed by people in a tall building working for a corporation. That food was designed to keep you eating and buying
Mm.
more.
Mm.
And that's where the diabetes comes from. That's where the heart disease comes from. That's where the obesity comes from. It's not
Yes.
your genes, it's not fate, it's from
Mm.
eating crappy food,
Yes. You're
engineered
right.
food.
Mm.
And of course, not moving because we don't move anymore as much as people did 100 years ago or 200 years ago. We have to work a
Yeah.
little harder to move. And now you're in Germany, and there's more walking that goes on in a big European town. In the United States. It's a joke, but people drive everywhere. You want to go into town, it's 2 miles, get in the car.
Mm.
Um, it's kind of nuts. And so
Mm.
there are a lot of us out there trying to get people to move more and drive less. And
Yeah.
I think it will happen. But it we need to turn this epidemic of chronic diseases around.
Mm.
And the way to do it is with food and movement.
Yeah.
And you know, everyone's doing it with pills and supplements and all these complicated instructions, and it's not complicated. It
Mm.
just means making a decision and then sticking with it,
Yes.
deciding to be healthy.
Mm. Making the decision to eat the food that are good for our body and also move to ensure that our body is, if is fit and healthy. Yeah.
And we've got all kinds of science now telling us that this crappy food, pardon my language, but that's what it is just as damaging to our psyche, our mindset, our mood, as it is
Mm.
to our bodies. You can't separate really the systems in your body. And
Mm.
you're reading probably now a lot more. I know I am seeing it all over the place now. The mind gut connection and gut
Yeah.
health and your gut biome. It's true.
Mm.
What you eat is goes into your engine, and that engine, you know, um, runs your whole being. And
Mm.
some of it happens in your head, and a lot of it happens in your gut, and it's all one system.
Yes.
You have to treat it that way.
Yeah.
So a lot of the mood disorders that people talk about actually are connected to something going on in your gut.
Mm. Yes. You're right. Wow. I mean, this you've shared so much already. So much wonderful, thoughts that provoking as in words that provokes thoughts basically to ensure that we change our lives, change the way we eat, or change what we eat actually, and also encourage us to work out, to go out there, move our body to live a much healthier life. Yeah.
You don't even have to work out. You need to dance. You need to
Ah.
walk. You
Mm.
need to run.
Mm.
It's just move.
Yeah.
And the more fun you're having moving, the better it is. And
Yeah.
dance is so important to us. And we kind of have relegated it to, well, young people, or maybe old people in the retirement home or something. But
Mm. Mm.
dance is so much a part of our spirit, our soul, that kind of movement. And all you have to do, and I, as you know, I live out in the country. my animals, my critters, the wildlife around here, and you watch the birds dance, and you can watch the squirrels dance. They're all dancing. Um, let's dance.
Yes, let's
Oh,
dance. I love that. Yes. So, is it possible to like rewind back to when you were around 40 years old and were diagnosed of this type 2 diabetes? Like, how was that phase of your life like for you? How was your journey of life leading to that point? And how were you able to live, tr through this type 2 diabetes? What did you change? What happened to your food, your diet, your lifestyle?
okay. And I'm happy to say that according to the numbers, I'm no longer diabetic.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, and I was told that diabetes when I was diagnosed in my 40s.
Mm.
And the reason I was diagnosed in my 40s is because in my late 20s, I had a 10-pound baby, my son,
Oh,
big boy. And I
yes.
gained 60 pounds with a pregnancy. And so after the pregnancy, after this big baby was born by emergency C-section, they said, gee, you probably had gestational diabetes. Oh, but in those days, in that place, and the doctors were all men, by the way, and I love men, but I really am excited now that we have so many women
Yeah.
practicing medicine with women as patients. It's a
Mm.
lovely thing. So what they told me was you will probably develop type 2 diabetes when you're in your 40s. And so when I got to be a little older in my 40s, um, I was asking my doctor, well, don't you want to test me? Don't, isn't there some kind of test? And they'd say, you're not really overweight and you look fine and it's okay. And I had to beg to be tested with the hemoglobin A1C test. And sure enough, they said, yeah, these numbers aren't good.
Mm.
And I also knew, Toby, that my dad had been in his older life diabetic, and his mother, my grandmother, had been diabetic as a mature woman. And so I thought, well, there's some, this means something.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, I was diabetic. But when you find out early, and by the way, there are no symptoms of diabetes. The only way you know at that stage is with a blood test.
Mm.
And it, by the time you have symptoms, it's progressed a long way, and you've got deterioration at a deep level in your body because your blood has not been functioning the way it's supposed to. Your fat deposition has not been functioning. Your liver has not. All of these systems have been affected by your blood sugar, by diabetes. But it's a silent killer. It's something that you don't suddenly look in the mirror and go, gosh, I look diabetic. Not
Mm.
you don't feel it particularly. Sometimes there's thirst, sometimes there's and actually the first most men know about it. And I don't know, you're younger, maybe you're different than a lot of the guys were in my time, but men were so hard to get to the doctor. They never wanted to go get checked up. But where diabetes catches men is with erectile dysfunction. And all of a sudden, now they want to go to the doctor,
Of
right?
course.
And now they want to get that fixed. And so by the time this has happened, uh, the it's rather advanced, and
Mm.
it's something. If anyone is listening and going, oh, go get checked now, and by exercising and eating well, you can greatly improve your numbers, and even like in my case, reverse it. You can be. However, I want to make clear that if I started eating badly and if I stopped exercising, those
Yeah.
numbers would get bad again.
Mm.
So, so I'm bragging here about being, clean and clear, and I like to think that way, but it's only as long as I am careful and take care of myself. Now, the good news is that includes eating brownies for breakfast. Uh, but I make those brownies myself
Mm.
out of nut butter, pumpkin, cocoa. uh, eggs or egg substitute, whole food, real food, plant-based.
Mm,
And it's a good meal.
mm,
So there's nothing wrong with eating treats as, oh, and I sweeten with monk fruit or
mm,
inulin. There's some really terrific, newer, natural sweeteners that you can use instead of sugar that give that you don't have any sort of blood sugar reaction from.
mm,
And they taste great. And a lot of people say, well, stevia, yeah, I agree with you. Stevia isn't always a great sweetener, but some of these others, and I list them all out in the book and talk about them, there are really good sweeteners on the market now that and I make pies and cakes
mm.
and all kinds of things. And I don't eat any sugar.
Wow,
No sugar, zero
that's
sugar.
great.
I
Mm,
also rarely eat processed wheat flour.
mm,
And the recipes in my book are gluten free for the reason that if you eliminate gluten from your diet, you're eliminating a lot of the kind of worst junk foody things that most people get trapped eating.
mm,
Um,
mm.
can you guess what the most addictive foods are according to the science? And one, I'll let you guess what the most addictive single ingredient food and then what the
Yeah.
most addictive mixed ingredient food is. Can you guess?
Anything with dairy, right? Anything with maybe
Well,
dairy
you're
milk.
right
Or,
that it does have dairy, but the food that is so it's more addictive than heroin
mm.
is sugar.
Oh, yeah,
So when
yeah, because it's sweet.
yeah, when people say I'm really addicted to sweet, yes, you are. You
Mm,
are addicted. It behaves in your body like an addictive substance. It is an
mm,
addictive substance. So
mm.
that right there is a good reason to quit, right? Because if I said, "Well,
Yeah,
Toby, I think you should cut back on your heroin," what would you say to me? Say,
yeah.
I think the answer is to quit, right?
Yeah,
Not
yes.
back.
No.
So, but the food, I love this little factoid because the food that the science tells us is the commonly eaten meal that is the most addictive is pizza.
Oh, yes. We love
Mm,
pizza.
pizza. We love pizza. But the problem with pizza is several things, and it depends, of course, greatly on the kind of pizza that you're eating. In the United States, we think of Domino's Pizza or some of these fast food pizza places where
Mm,
the crust is made out of the worst kind of flour, which is, you know, badly grown wheat, ground up very fine, and bad cheese and all these other ingredients that are inexpensive.
yeah. Yeah.
I suggest to people very strongly that they stop eating dairy, cow's milk based dairy
Mm,
because dairy, the kind of protein that's in cow's milk, doesn't agree with a huge number of humans on the planet. Some of us do better with it than others, but it causes gut problems. And it's the particular kind of fat that's in it is not a fat that it's animal fat that is a problem in many ways. We don't have time to go into it here,
mm.
so if you said to me, okay, Granny, give me two things that are going to really change my health right away that I need to do. One, quit
Yes.
sugar.
Mm,
Two, quit cow's milk dairy.
mm, mm,
And if you want to eat goat's milk cheese or sheep's milk cheese, no problem. It's a different kind of chemical. It's a different protein, and your
mm,
body reacts differently to it. And people tend not to gorge on it. Whereas, in college dorms all over the world, people are eating way too much pizza, right? I mean, when
yeah,
that comes in, they're
yes.
hungry and it's all smells good and the cheese is all melted all over the top with the grease on top.
Mm, mm.
We all love that pizza. And you can have pizza if you make it with good whole food ingredients, which of course I do.
Yes. Oh,
Um,
that's so nice. Yeah.
so that's an immediate fix I would love to see people do. For one more reason, let's talk about this. It isn't just your health, it's the health of the planet.
Mm,
And if you're eating cow's milk dairy, those cows most likely are not happy cows, and those cows are jammed into a factory where the pollution is going into the earth and the rivers. So I'm all about no more factory farming for many
Mm.
reasons. One of
Mm.
them is your health, another is the health of the earth.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
it's hard. Again, we're all one system. You can't
Mm.
separate how we raise our food from
Mm.
how we eat our food. You need to
Yes.
know where your food is coming from.
Mm. That's very true. Yes. I love what you talked about. We have to be concerned about our health and also the health of this planet. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And as a grandma, for example, what do you think we are supposed to do, and apart from the food, for example, what else can we do in order to ensure that the health of our planet, is sustained or is improved in some ways?
What should we do?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, where do I start? I think, first of all, growing a garden, growing a pot of something green is a
Mm.
very small gesture, but teach your children how the earth grows food.
Mm.
Uh, Children have become so disconnected with where food comes from and what the dirt is and who lives in the dirt. What uh, these things are just they're walking on stuff on the way to school, or that everything is asphalt and concrete.
Mm.
If you will get your children connected to growing and
Mm.
cooking, people when kids cook, kids will eat what kids cook,
Mm. That's true.
and kids will eat what they grow.
Mm.
So so I love the connection that gets made when children really see that chain of events and take control themselves and become competent themselves at food.
Yeah.
And from the time they can stand on their feet and walk, I would suggest that your kids can be gardening, cleaning up in the kitchen, helping to cook, standing up on a stool. Um, Too many people now, I think, are very busy with their children. They're taking them to choir and they're taking them to boxing and they're doing all these things, but they're not sitting down together at meals.
Mm.
And that to me is a big part of healing the earth. And it sounds a little disconnected, but I guess maybe it's not a weird thing for a grandma to say. I want you to sit down, Toby, at the table, right? Come in here and sit down and have some soup, honey.
Yeah.
Um, that we're missing that community and that
Mm.
communion that comes from eating together.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I love restaurants too, and because when I eat in a restaurant, that means I'm not cooking, and that's fun.
Yeah.
But I even more love eating when it's the family at the table and friends and people that we've just met.
Mm.
Come on in. That used to be a little more ordinary. Now I find that people will say to me, "You're really cooking. You're really, yes. And you set the table." Yes, I set the table. Yes, look, there's cloth napkins and
Mm.
utensils and candles if it's dark and flowers. To me, the ritual of dining together, of being grateful for our food,
Mm.
is part of the ritual of being grateful for the earth. And
Yeah.
if you are truly grateful for your food,
Mm.
doesn't that mean you are caring more for where it came from and keeping that system alive and healthy? It's not just you who needs to be alive and healthy. We
Mm.
all need to be alive and healthy.
True.
Um, and grandmas also have a reputation. There are more than one organization in the world where grandmas got together and said, "What's wrong with these guys? They don't. They're fighting. They're crazy. They're struggling. When they would just sit down and have some soup or hold a baby. I mean, I would like there to be some kind of international law where you cannot be in a position of responsibility in a government anywhere unless you have been up all night at least once with a sick baby.
That's a big challenge, right? Yeah.
Being an uncle or an aunt or a parent or grandparent changes you. It
Yes.
literally does. Have you seen the science on this, Toby? Men change their DNA changes, their cells change when they become fathers, when they become parents. And I don't know if that's really radically different, and I'd love to see the science on this if you are an uncle or a grandfather, but having a relationship with new life, with new children
Yeah.
is is life changing for those adults who are caring for the children.
Mm.
And you can't think about government or the world or transportation or anything the same way once you have little ones in your charge.
Mm. Yes, because it changes the way you view life, the way you treat other people. Yes,
Every
yes.
and a lot of us are, why are we shooting all this stuff up in space, right? When we've got babies right here who need so much, and they're not getting it because we're shooting trash into space. Men, let's do that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
interested in space too, but it just
yeah.
it's such a different perspective when you see the world, and of course, being older, as you and I
Mhm.
talked about.
Yeah,
Um, so much has changed since I became an adult, uh, and from my point of view, a lot of it was about feminism, was about how being female
mm,
limited my options and my choices and my future and so on.
yeah.
And
I love the fact that you brought that up right now, feminism. From the standpoint of a grandmother you are right now, looking back at your life, how you lived and the the choices you made in the past and what you had to do in the past. What's your opinion on feminism and our health as human beings in general?
well, what's my opinion? I couldn't help but be a feminist
Mm,
because I was female. And when I graduated from high school, 1964, um, I couldn't go to Harvard because
mm,
Harvard was not co-ed. You could, it was men only.
mm,
Uh, there were so many things that were not open to women. I couldn't have a credit card. I mean, the list is long. Um, and so I've lived long enough now to see a lot of that change. It didn't change because a bunch of guys suddenly went, we ought to do something nice for the women.
mm.
No,
No.
that's not how stuff happens, is it?
Yeah, no, no, it's not.
No, no. It takes a lot of activism and a
Mm,
lot of determination and a lot of us for various reasons. I mean, in the United States, particularly, has such a difficult and bloody history because so many cultures came together and clashed, and with a desire to be one country. But boy, with the history of slavery and the history of the Native American slaughters and all those things, and the different and the people coming to the United States out of these European wars that were the religious wars that were going on.
mm,
So we sort of got a lot of the good from everywhere, and we got some of the really awful from
mm.
everywhere too.
Yeah.
But how could you not be a feminist if you were a female in all of
Yeah,
this?
yeah, that's
And
true.
and I came from a family where my parents were particularly good about not teaching me limitations. My mother had been a college graduate. She was in a graduate program when she met my dad, and my grandmother was a college graduate,
Wow.
which when you think about it, my grandmother was born in the 1880s.
Mm,
And so unusual for her age and her time. But she taught in a little schoolhouse in the frontier of Utah,
mm,
at a time when it was kind of the Wild West.
mm,
Uh, so my female heritage, let's say, it was a bunch of cranky old women, Toby. It was um, some tough gals, who who felt like they should be part of the decision making. They should be part of the civilization
mm.
of the community, and not
Yes.
be stuck in the kitchen cooking.
Mm.
And so the downside was my grandmother was a lousy cook. Right? She was brilliant and terrific in a lot of ways, but man, that food was not so great. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we all need, tough women, tough ladies that one not just only good in the kitchen, but also good at the work front, at the activities front to, change the world, to make the world a better place. We need women actually to make this world a better place. Not just men alone, but the powerful, strong women also that, forms us, that makes us better, makes us improve, makes us, evolve basically. Yeah. And I really respect that.
And the partnerships, the good partnerships between men and women are beautiful. Like any partnership between old people, young people, women, men, and men. But we've been so steeped in this tradition of it only being the partnerships among men that counted. Um, it's time in many ways that we were more inclusive. So it involves racism, it involves um, feminism and sexual politics and gender,
Mm,
all of these things. It's painful and difficult to go through what we're going through, I think, now, and you and I are part of it, Toby, because it's all about the digital revolution, isn't it? We
yes.
now have our eyes on so much of the whole world. We can't ignore it.
Mm,
It's right in our face. It's right on our desk. It's right on our phone. This
mm,
little tiny thing that's bringing us the whole world. So
yes.
the joy, the good side is I get to meet you. We get to talk. We get to have podcasts and
Mm.
talk about what we share and care about. The downside is, oh my gosh, right? Look at all that going on.
Yes. Yeah.
Some of it's not pretty. I
No,
mean,
at all. A lot of things going on that are wrong. Yeah.
yeah. And
Mm,
um, all you have to do is see visually a picture. And I can imagine you see the world somewhat this way too. But when I see a picture of something going on in government and it's that room full of white men, right away, I know that there's work that can be done,
mm.
right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
that that's not a government of the people, by the people, for the
Mm,
people.
mm, mm, mm.
It can't be.
Yeah.
We need to be represented, all of us. And I heard a statistic just for one small example. An issue in the United States, huge issue, is policing, and what are we going to do to improve policing, and do we
Mm,
want to defund the police and rah, rah. Well, do you know what this, by any chance, do you have any idea? Here, I'll make you guess again. How many police officers in the United States, throughout the United States, what is the percentage of police officers who are women?
mm. I would guess 5%, maybe.
Well, it's better than that. It's
Oh,
13,
oh,
up
okay.
from
Oh,
recently. Yeah. So
mm,
13%. But think about that. The way police, I mean, and at a time when everything counted about a man's physical strength and so on, you can kind of understand that we would see those roles differently.
mm,
But when you look at how people are policed now with surveillance, with communications, with community relations, with all these things. It's not just guns and muscle,
mm,
or shouldn't be. Um, you know, I think
yes,
this is it should be improved. I don't know about
mm,
you, but I think just like we don't want to be policed by an all-white police force in the United
no,
States.
mm-mm.
It's
No, we don't.
crazy.
Mm, that's true.
So, and it's only when you really are forced to look at this and see the picture of this that I think some of us, and we just take so many things kind of for granted if we're not, if it's not in front of us, if we're not forced
Mm,
to look at. So
yes.
yeah, um, grannies, grannies have their own perspective on things, and
Yeah.
it's it's a little different.
Mm,
It's not
yes.
bad.
No.
It's a little
Mm,
different. And we're different, Toby, in that I'm 76, and I like to talk about that because people, I think, have an idea about every age. What does a 50-year-old look like and act like? What
mm,
do they want? What does a
mm.
60-year-old look like? By the time you're in your 70s or 80s, people are like, what? Oh, you exist? You're still existing?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm still not only existing, but I'm still punching. I'm
Mm,
still out there wanting to participate, wanting to do
mm,
things and
yes.
see things. And
Mhm,
um, it's so important at this age, even more, I think, than ever in your life, to be healthy, to feel
mm,
strong, and to feel like you can move. And there are things we can't help, but there is so much that we can help just by eating good food, soup,
yes.
soup,
Exactly. Exactly.
uh-huh, and
That's true.
moving.
Hmm.
So,
Yes. Yeah, I'm really grateful for the fact that you shared your perspective on the state of things right now, politics and our social issues basically, because it's very important for us to we all see life from different perspective, but it's very important for
yeah.
us to see the perspective from the grandmas, for example, from grandpas, to see, okay, this is how far they've gone in life. This they've experienced different phases of this earth, different situations, and this is what's happening right now. They could give a deeper insight, a deeper perspective to the current situation. That's why I really appreciate your view on things. That's awesome.
Well,
Mm,
another thing that I see happening where podcasting comes in is our news is, I mean, news has never been all true, right? I mean,
yeah.
news has always been largely BS in many ways.
Mm,
But now we have the tools for a lot more truth to be revealed, um, in reporting and observations. We all have our little cameras, and it's not that this is a guarantee that what we will see and read is true, but we have the potential to be more observant about what governments are doing, and what the countries are doing, and what our own country, what our state, what our community is doing. We have these amazing tools. The challenge now is to learn how to use them in moral ways, in intelligent ways. It's no longer in the hands of a few
mm,
exactly, but when you look at who owns the media, it's still in the hands of the few.
yes.
So good for you for being out there podcasting and looking for the truth. Um,
Mm,
I'm here with you, and I admire your tenacity. You've done a lot of shows. It's hard work. I know it's hard work, but
Thank you so much.
good for you, Toby. I mean, you guys like you are going to, I think, bring the truth with
Oh,
you.
thank you. And we can't do that without you, right? So we need people like you on the other side to tell us the truth, to reveal the truth to us. Yeah. Yeah.
You need a Grammy once in a while, and
Yeah.
today yours. Thank you. I love it.
Thank you so much. Yes, and before we go, this episode will not be complete if you do not review the secrets behind your beauty, behind your living long, strong, healthy, and beauty and energy that you have right now. What are some of the eating habits that you've cultivated over the years? What are the exercises that you do over the years to make you look ever young? You don't look older than 40 or something right now.
Well, thank you. I love the flattery. It becomes more important than ever. I love it. Eating well, sleeping. We haven't even talked about sleeping.
Mm,
Sleeping is an underrated, huge, huge health issue. Too many of us are not sleeping well now. And just here's one little factoid that you may know, but it took me, I don't know, I didn't learn this that long ago. The only time your body heals is in deep sleep.
mm,
So if you are not getting that truly deep sleep, you're not healing.
mm,
And there are processes that only can take place in your body when you are not eating and not sleeping. So, and for another show, we'll talk about intermittent fasting and things like that, um,
mm,
because how you don't eat is as important as how you eat. Human beings were not designed to eat all the time, to eat 3, 4, 5 meals a day or snack all day.
mm,
You have to leave some air. So that's another thing. We don't have time, but uh, so sleep is important. I sleep. I like to think of myself as a recreational sleeper. I look forward to my sleep. I enjoy my sleep.
mm,
Um, I have a great place to sleep, quiet place, and that's huge. A lot of people don't have the advantage of being able to turn all the light out and have quiet and peace. You know, if you live in downtown Manhattan or maybe even in a big city in Germany, you can't shut out the noise that well,
mm.
and that's important. So the noise
Yes.
pollution, a whole other
Mm,
subject
yeah.
that we spend time on.
Mm,
So, but as far as keeping yourself fit into older age, it's eat good food, uh, eat with some people if you possibly can. Have a
mm,
community of friends. The more varied they are, the more fun it is. Have some young
yes.
friends, have some old
Mm,
friends,
mm.
and feed them. They will
Yes.
respond. People
Yeah.
always respond. Say, "Come on in and have something to eat," right?
Yes. Yes.
And it's as simple as that. And then walk and
Mm,
dance a little bit,
mm,
and uh, wear clean clothes whenever you can.
mm.
And this is what I would like to tell all the men of America. Now, the men of Italy are pretty good about this. Germany, I don't know, but please, would you start wearing pants that fit?
Yeah.
We have become a country of bad pants.
Mm. They
Yeah,
are too tight, or what do you mean?
they just don't fit, Toby. They're
Mm,
baggy and baggy Bermuda shorts.
mm,
You know, man, we women, we're watching you. We
mm.
see what you're wearing, and I want you to wear better pants.
Oh, yes. We'll take note of that. Yeah.
Okay, there
Yeah.
you go. There's my advice. My beauty
Yes.
advice.
I,
Very
I,
much.
I, yeah, I know sleeping is very, very important because yesterday we were exchanging emails, and the last email I got from you, I read it this morning, and you said, "Oh, it's quite late. Go to bed to sleep." I was like, "Yeah, that's a grandma advice." I love that.
My advice. Absolutely. Go to sleep, honey. Yes, you should be
Yeah,
sleeping. Be up with your computer. That's
yeah,
exactly. Yes, you
yeah.
caught me.
Yes, I should change that. I should change that. So thanks for the advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've not even talked about how people could get your book to read. Like it's an amazing book available on Amazon. You have your website. Can you like tell us how to get across to you, connect with you, and do that?
Yes. So lynnebowman.com, and you have to spell it LYNNEBOWMAN.com. And if you'll that's pretty easy to find, or you can Google me, and you can sign up on my list just right on the front page. And I send out, not often because I'm lazy, but I will send you recipes and tips when I find really great things that are inexpensive, easy, fast, healthy. I'll share it with you, send it out,
mm,
and or I ask questions. I'm happy to answer questions about, gee, I made the brownies, and can I put them in the fridge, or whatever it is. I want everybody to do this. That's what I'm all about. So the book you can get from hopefully your local bookseller.
mm.
You ask them for it, and they will order it for you. If they don't have it on the shelf, they can get it from their wholesaler. And we all want those independent booksellers to survive, right?
Yes,
We love our
yes,
bookstores. And
definitely.
other than that, you can certainly get it on Amazon. Couple of clicks, you can get it. You can download it. You can get a paperback version. I've got one right here.
Mm.
You can get a hardback, which I highly recommend, because then I want you to keep it on your counter in your kitchen. And then you
Yes.
open up the next page and you go, okay, I'll make that squash casserole. That looks good. Oh, I'm going to make that coleslaw. That looks good. And then you set it up and you make it. And I promise you, they're forgiving and easy. And if you've never cooked, no worries.
Mm.
Everything is explained. Or if you give this to your cranky 85-year-old grandpa, he will go, no, I can do this.
Mm.
Yes. And an 8-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid can do that. Anyone who can read
Mm.
can make these recipes. It's easy and fun. And I've been told that the book is a good read. I've been told
Yes,
that
yes.
it's, and I hope that it is. I wanted it to be fun.
Yes, I mean the reviews on Amazon are so amazing. People snapping, pictures with the recipe brownies that they baked, for example. I really
Yeah.
love reading them. I was like, yes, this is a very
But it
good book
makes
to read.
me so happy. Yeah, I love seeing it.
Yes,
And
yes.
and I took all the pictures with my
Oh,
iPhone,
wow.
almost all of them. There are a couple of kind of glam pictures of me where my friend came and took them and tried to make them look good. But
Mm,
the food pictures I took with my iPhone because I wanted the pictures to look like you would be making it.
mm,
I was in the advertising business where we would oil things and doll things up to look good in the picture. That's
yeah,
not the idea. The idea is this is real food, whole food, plant-based, that you
yes.
can yourself that it will look like the picture.
Mm, yes.
And I want you to feel successful about it
Mm,
and keep doing
yeah,
it.
yes, yes. Lee, one thing you inspired me in this podcast episode is like about having this family or kitchen table culture where we all sit down together at the kitchen table or family table and have dinner together, speak about politics, speak about lies, speak about everything that's bothering us basically, and enjoy healthy meals like low sugar, low carbs, or I mean healthy meals also. That's one thing I'm craving from this podcast episode already. Like you inspired that into me, and I hope I can bring that into fruition, into realization. That's awesome.
Good. And I'm going to check up on you, Toby, and I want you to cook some of these recipes. Do you
Yeah.
cook?
Yes, I cook. Yes, I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to hear from you when you try some of this stuff and your
Yes.
listeners. Uh, It's not just about me up here yakking. I want people to do this and to
Mm.
enjoy the best health they can.
Yes. I'm going to place all of this link in the show notes of this episode. The link to your website. On your
Thank,
website, you have a page to your books also, and
thank
everything is available there. I'll encourage everyone to just click on the link, copy the link, get the book, cook some recipes. Maybe we could make some food challenge also. Yeah,
you.
that was
And then let
awesome.
go, get in touch. And thank you, Toby, so much for the time with you. This has been a joy.
Thank you so much. It's a great blessing to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Hey there, podcast enthusiasts. Are you ready to add a little sparkle to your day? If you're loving the insightful conversations and captivating stories on Mirror Talk Podcast, here's a friendly nudge to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll never miss out on the empowering messages and thought provoking discussions we bring to your ears. But wait, there's more. We're all about spreading positivity and inspiration, and you can be a part of it too. How? By sharing the love with your friends and family. Share this episode with your loved ones, and let's create a ripple effect of empowerment and growth together. And hey, if you've been enjoying what you hear, why not take a moment to leave us a glowing 5-star review? Your feedback fuels our passion to keep delivering content that resonates with you. So hit that subscribe button, share the love, and leave us a review. Let's keep the conversation going and spread the Mirror Talk magic far and wide. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, your support means the world to us.